start with some introductions and remarks and hear from our own Chair Redmond and MP Mike Morris. We're going to hear from Ryan Bergium, a managing director of 2 award-winning startups, myself, Elaine, Asha Khan, Adi Imrani, and Ahana Patel. At the same time, there are some showcases that you might have noticed just outside these doors. There are a couple retro 1980s Commodore 64 computers, and on one of them is the first ever chatbot to be hosted, actually called Eliza. There's also some other really brilliant stuff happening, like electronic chess keyboards. There'll be some showcases in the back throughout the next 2 hours. And at the very right over here is a platform where you can earn a prize that is worth over $90. That's 90, so if you want to check that out maybe sometime, feel free to do so. But before we begin, I'd like to begin to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Shnaaman peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today, their achievements, and their contributions to the community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada. And as we observe the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation this Monday, we reflect on the injustices faced and those continue to be faced by Indigenous peoples and commit to understanding, respecting, and taking meaningful action towards healing and reconciliation. With that, it is my pleasure to have you all here this afternoon, and it is my privilege to introduce Chair Redmond and Member of Parliament Mike Morris to come up here and give some remarks.
Thank you, Elaine. I guess I'll go first because technically Mike should go first, but I'm always happy to share a podium or the stage with because we share so many things in common. When I came in, Mike was about 3 minutes ahead of me, and when I was chatting with some people, he was over at a computer designing a museum of the future. And I said to him, this is the museum of the future. But the reason it's the museum of the future is because you're all here. Because there's no doubt that AI has been around for a long time. And some of you may have been at the Accelerator Center a few months ago, and one of the professors that was addressing the groups named about 14 different modes of AI. I knew 2 of them. And the hands were just shooting up because every young person in the audience not only knew them, but was using them. And my takeaway was, you have to know the right questions to ask so that AI will work for us. And it isn't something we need to be afraid of because it's here. It's exciting, mysterious, and misunderstood. And many of us think we know how it impacts our lives, but we really don't. So today is so exciting for me because we're celebrating incredible work of the young people that Elaine talked about who are on the program. It's vital to spotlight the brilliance and the creativity of youth in the region of Waterloo who are learning to harness the power of AI to drive positive change. Elaine, I met your parents, they're pretty proud, and I would be too if I were your parent. The landscape of this technology is rapidly evolving, and it's no longer science fiction. It is clearly just part of our everyday lives. From virtual assistants to smart devices, AI has already been woven into our daily routines. Organizations like Youth Tech Labs are recognizing the pivotal role youth play in shaping our technological future. Change makers like Ryan are empowering these youth with the tools they need to achieve their goals and to thrive in an increasingly digital world. From growing AI literacy to developing innovative solutions that address real-world problems, these youth are about to show us what the future of AI looks like. We celebrate the achievements of these students, and we also recognize the part that they have to play in supporting this development. AI will play a role in the growth of Waterloo region. In fact, it already is. From assistive, it's also aggressive in some people find, assistive technology to make devices inclusive and accessible to data tools which identify trends and patterns to help us make informed decisions. These are the skills our youth need to develop so that they can become thought leaders and innovators for the future. I am simply inspired by all the work that you are doing, and I want to thank Ryan for creating opportunities like Gambit Technologies, whose platform allows these youth to create real-life applications, and even members of Parliament when they want to do museums of the future. So to Elaine, Aisha, Ada, and Ahana, you represent the future of our community. Be proud of what you have accomplished and know that we are excited to follow you along your journey. Again, thank you, and I'm thrilled to be here. And I will now...
Thank you, Karen. It's a real joy to be here with you all this afternoon. For those I've not met before, my name is Mike Morris. I'm the MP for Kitchener Centre. Elaine, I love that you have a Commodore 64 here today, because I was born in the 80s, and so I grew up with a Commodore 64 myself. But there's so much about today's event that I'm really proud of. First of all, I'm really proud that established leaders in our community, like Ryan, for example, are coming to be a part of it to help inspire and mentor and motivate a lot of the young people who have made this happen. Also really proud of you, Elaine, and your entire team at Youth Tech Labs, because the reality is that we are in the midst of an AI transition right now, and we are going to collectively, and I think young people in particular, going to make some decisions about how we use that technology and how we harness it for good, and there are some who may harness it for less good reasons. But the fact that you're bringing young people together in our community to think through the positive impact we can have through AI, that's something I think our community has a long history of, is young people standing up and saying, let me get a conversation going about the positive change that this particular transition can bring to us. I also am really proud of a lot of the staff who work in the public service across Waterloo Region, and the museum staff here are wonderful. They're back on a weekend to be supporting this amazing event today. So I did want to say thank you to Nicole and Kim and Carolyn and all of the staff at Waterloo Region Museums because they're helping animate spaces like this. This is kind of the best reason to be here on a weekend. These spaces can be sitting empty, or they can be full of young people thinking through how AI can shape our future in a good way. So thanks to the entire Waterloo Region Museums team for all you do to make this happen. And again, Elaine, to you and your entire team, thanks for the heart and energy and time that you've put into crafting today's conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing more about all that comes from it. Thanks for having me here again with you. Thank you.
First of all, some of you may be wondering what even is Youth Tech Labs. Sounds like a laboratory, maybe an organization. We're going to hear some more from our team today.
At the end of the school year, and we met with the director of education and a few of the superintendents there, and we talked a little bit about these problems and our solutions to them at the leadership council meeting, and they were very receptive to our ideas, and they're definitely, as the year goes on, they're looking more into how AI can be incorporated into the classroom and how they can make better guidelines and policies about it. And we see that it's being done at the Waterloo Catholic Board. A lot of things that we're asking for have already been implemented, so we can see that there are ways that it will happen and it has happened in the past. And we've also been, the Ministry of Education has reached out to us last year too. Back when it was the old minister, there's a new MPP now, it's the Minister of Education, but we're hoping to continue our talks to them so that we can put all this stuff into action, because over 50 students came together to say that this is what they want to see happen, and I think we should try to make that happen.
So in terms of ending our first year off with a bang, we had a demo day where the students of the program came together to showcase their ideas. They did a lot of fantastic research about the business, finance, ethical, even like just, some people even built out their own projects, which was incredible to see. This year we're leading into more of a building focus. So that is why we're excited to announce we've collaborated with Gambit Technologies for our second year. We're going to be hearing from a representative from Gambit soon. But this year we're looking forward to the students actually being able to go hands-on and build their own things to create change tangibly. So you can learn more about us here. And with that, we would like to invite Ryan Bergio for his presentation. A feature, like a whole speech in itself. And I think it's really important to show that AI is not just peril, and it taking over the world, but that it is actually a vehicle for profound change. So hopefully that theme will resonate as I begin speaking a little bit about my presentation and my segment of this. So changing gears a little bit, I want to first pose the question, who here has heard of or used OpenAI and ChatGPT? Most of the room, that's to be expected. What about Claude? Right here on the screen. Okay, 2 people. That's still pretty good for Claude, I guess. And also, maybe you guys didn't know, but there are also companies out there that help people create their own chatbots. So VoiceFlow is one, Gamma Technologies is another, and also Google's Dialogflow. I think this really shows, I think given the amount of hands that just went up in the room, how pervasive and how saturated and important chatbots are becoming for the world, and for the field of tech innovation in general. And specifically in innovation, mental health is a specific use case that's become very more prevalent and also very important. So there are a lot of conversational agents out there, as well as apps and hybrids of the two, like the ones on screen, that are helping increase the accessibility to mental health support and mental health awareness that people really need and deserve. Now, before I begin my project, I want to backtrack a little bit to talk about where I'm coming from. So in terms of my story, again, I'm Elaine, I'm in grade 12, and earlier in my high school career, I actually suffered a little bit from body image issues as well as eating-related issues, and actually accumulated into developing an eating disorder, from which I am now healed. And last year, I was empowered to finally take action against this issue that a lot of people face. Almost 30 million Americans face an eating disorder in their lifetime, and less than 20% of people obtain support due to all the barriers that are in place and the lack of awareness in general. So I kind of wanted to tear down those barriers in my TED Talk speech last October in the youth-led conference, TEDx Columbia Lake Youth. This year, I sparked my advocacy further through raising awareness with Dorothy Metcalfe during Eating Disorders Awareness Week, which I believe was back in May. So that's where I'm coming from, and this is a very big social justice passion that I want to combat. And in terms of realizing my passion for technology, that is one of the reasons why I'm very happy to say I'm a part of Youth Tech Labs and a co-organizer in that organization. From there, I've really been inspired by talking to fellow changemakers, hearing from innovators, and specifically, earlier this year, I was able to talk to Ellen Winhus-Robinson, which you can see right up there, who Ryan also talked about a little bit. And I learned about Ask Ellen, the virtual companion to help people going through the breast cancer diagnosis. And I thought, what if we applied this principle, but for people suffering through body image issues, or even eating disorders, or to any degree issues in this field? And so begins my collaboration with Gamma Technologies, and currently I'm spearheading the development of a chatbot that helps people going through eating-related issues as well as body image issues to any degree. Whether you've been diagnosed with an eating disorder or if you're just having a bad body image day, my hope is that Hi Eddie, the name of this chatbot, can help support you through this emotionally difficult time. Some of the reasons why I'm very passionate about this and why I think it can create significant impact is the barrier that it helps to circumvent in the process of getting support for those issues. So, as I said earlier, less than or only about 20% of people suffering from eating disorders actually obtain adequate treatment that they need and deserve. And some of those barriers include geographic and social isolation. You might not have healthcare professionals around you who you can reach out to, or you might not be confident enough and feel a little bit timid confiding in the people around you and have them know this quite vulnerable part of yourself. There's also a lot of stigmatization, and this is especially prevalent for those who are male-identifying, higher weight, or of minority identification. The egocentric nature is also a big one, and that's what I tried to talk a little bit about in my TED speech, where basically because it's become such a pervasive norm that people who look a certain way are treated better just due to implicit biases that we hold, and they're treated better in the systems of healthcare, employment. Consumerism is a huge vehicle for also pushing these ideals onto yourself. So what happens is, in our minds as individuals, we believe that we must look a certain way in order to obtain those benefits, which creates this egocentric nature where you have to pursue these behaviors that might be disordered because it ultimately leads to benefits. But that whole idea itself is a disorder, in my opinion. And lastly, is just harmful alternatives. Social media is a minefield to navigate, but unfortunately, it's probably the most prevalent avenue that people go towards to seek help due to the high amount of activity on there, due to their design to keep you engaged. And there's a lot of content on there that fuels the exact behaviors that I myself am trying to overcome and help others overcome, such as all the content related to diet culture, the glorification of certain diets or certain figures and lifestyles. And hopefully Eddie can help those who are suffering with these things and to help overcome these barriers by being non-human, non-judgmental, and a tool that's there 24/7 online. So to do a little demo, you guys might be wondering, what even is this, Eddie? Okay, so here is the skeleton, and let's chat with Eddie. So how Eddie will work before I begin this is it talks to you as if it's its own persona, as if it's its own human being. So when you ask it something, it tells you like, I understand where you're coming from, this is what I did in my journey. It tries to connect with you based on its narrative that I designed for it. So you enter the prompt, and you will respond. So I totally get where you're coming from. Body image struggles can be really tough to deal with. I remember when I first started having negative thoughts about my appearance. And then it draws on these sort of experiences that I accumulated into its narrative that I wrote for Eddie. So it tries to connect with you, it tries to validate your emotions, let you know that you're not crazy for going through these things. I totally understand it. Here are some things that help me. Remember, you're so much more than your appearance. Your worth isn't determined by how you look. I'm here to listen. And one of the things that I designed for Eddie is to ask open-ended questions at the end of its replies to continue the conversation, but also have the user self-reflect a little bit in responding back to them. So Eddie asked me just here, what kind of thoughts or feelings come up for you when you're struggling with your body image? Let's respond to that. Oh, I love this. Here's something I learned that really helped. Our worth isn't determined by how we look, it's who we are as people. Our kindness, our passions, our relationships. It took time, but I started to focus more on these aspects of myself. Now, that really resonates with me and touches my heart. Hopefully, maybe you guys can feel a little empowered by that statement. But this is essentially how Eddie works. And you might be wondering, what happens if I ask Eddie something not related to body image or eating-related issues? Does anyone have an idea of like what they want to ask Eddie? Just anything random that's not related to body image. Yeah.
How was the weather today?
How was the weather today? Really testing Eddie here. I'm curious about how she will respond. Okay, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that response. So Eddie doesn't shut you down. It kind of lets you know that she cannot answer these questions as she's focused on supporting those with eating disorders and body image issues. But it also tries to understand where you might be coming from, as the target audience is people struggling with these things. So it says, I've noticed you shifted the conversation away. Is everything okay? I'm here to help.